Bitcoin is ready for a massive explosion. Are we going to see a massive pump towards the upside, or are we going to see a continuation and a dump even lower? Guys, we're going to look at the charts, but not only that, we're also going to look at some very important data from the Federal Reserve and what we could expect in the coming weeks. But guys, we're also going to look at some very bullish news. We're going to look at the adoption curve of Bitcoin, and we're going to look at the stages of Bitcoin to really find out what we could expect. And we're also going to look at the liquidity of the banks. So if you want to find out more, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button and subscribe, and most importantly, activate the bell so that you always stay up to date. Welcome back to B for Crypto, and yes, we're going to start on the daily chart for Bitcoin, and as you guys can see, yes, we dumped towards the downside after we lost this very important trend line, and we saw this massive dump. But guys, this is not the end of the world. First of all, we can see that the price movement of Bitcoin formed a higher low, and that is very bullish because we can see that we had this pump towards the upside, had this dump, and then we perfectly held this upward sloping trend line. So at the moment we can see that Bitcoin is really getting support at the support line that we have round about the levels of $22,300, and we could see that we had the sideways consolidation. And guys, we broke this very important horizontal trend line that we have from this broadening wedge. So we can see that the price movement is perfectly underneath the support. So guys, are we going to see a retest of the support, and this will act as resistance, and that we're going to see this retest and then the dump towards the downside? Because this could be a possibility, because at the moment the price movement is really volatile and the price goes up and down in this range from this upward sloping trend and this horizontal support, which acts as resistance. So guys, we're going to see a massive explosion in the immediate short term, because yes, we can see there's no more room left in this range. So we're either going to see a massive pump towards the upside, breaking the $22,500 resistance, or we're going to break this support, this trend line towards the downside. But guys, we're going to see this breakout in the next few hours, because yes, let's go on the lower time frames. So on the 4-hour chart, wow, look at this 4-hour chart. We're getting a lot of pressure from the bears, and the bulls are also holding quite strong because they're holding the support very strong, and the price movement of Bitcoin is pretty much going sideways. So zoomed in on the 4-hour chart, we can see that the price movement moves perfectly within this range of the support from this trend line and this major resistance from this resistance line that is roundabout at the levels of $22,500. So guys, what could we expect? Yes, we could see a massive fake out towards the upside and come straight back down, breaking this very important level towards the downside. Or we could see that Bitcoin, yes, we're going to see a break towards the downside to this liquidity zone round about these lows, which went all the way back down to the levels of 21,980, and then we could see this massive turnaround and come all the way back up. But guys, we're going to see a massive explosion either towards the upside or towards the downside in a very short period of time, because yes, if we zoom out, we can see that the price of Bitcoin has to decide for a direction, because if we take this trend line from the top of this wick all the way down, then we can see that this line, if we're going to cross it towards the upside, we could expect that we are at least going to come back to this resistance, which is round about the $23,200, where we can see that yes, we had previous support, which now will turn into resistance. And also we can see that the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart is exactly there. So we could maybe see this massive fake out and then the price of Bitcoin turns around. But at the moment I'm quite bullish, because yes, we can see that the bears are trying to push the price down, but the bulls are holding the price up, and that is very bullish for the price of Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin would have been weak, we would have seen a massive dump towards the downside. But guys, now we're going to go over and we're going to look at the adoption curve of Bitcoin. And yes, we're going to look at the Bitcoin adoption S-curve from Plan B. And as you can see that the price movement of Bitcoin was always above the adoption curve, and we can see that yes, in the year 2020 to 2022, we were slightly going beneath this. and we had this dump towards the downside after this major FTX debacle, but at the moment we can see that the price and the adoption curve is slightly turning around. But guys, we're going to see a massive explosion towards the upside. So in the next 4 years, we should at least reach these levels of above the $100,000 for Bitcoin. But guys, if we look at the adoption curve, we could see that we could have a massive increase in the Bitcoin adoption. And why is that? Yes, at the moment we are at around about 2.5% to 3% of the world population using Bitcoin. But if you're going to reach a certain stage, you're just going to see a mass adoption. So overall, this is a very bullish news for Bitcoin, that we are going to see a massive increase in the adoption rate. But guys, in this week, we're going to see that Fed Jerome Powell is expected to speak before Congress on Tuesday and Wednesday about the central bank's expectations regarding inflation and what this means for the policy approach. And we can see that the next consumer price index, the CPI, is expected to come out on the 14th of March. So we're going to see next week that we're going to see the inflation rate and that we're going to see if inflation really comes down, because if we're not going to see the decrease in the inflation, we could expect a hawkish behavior from the Fed. So the speech of Fed Jerome Powell on Tuesday and Wednesday will be very important for the markets, because this will give us a hint what the Federal Reserve is planning to do next. But guys, in this month, we're also going to have on the 21st and 22nd of March, we're going to have the next FOMC meeting. So in March, it is really going to be important. What is the approach from the Federal Reserve and what are the CPI rates? And this will really give us a direction what we could expect for Bitcoin. Are we going to see a continuation of the bear market and come all the way back down to the lows? Or are we going to see a pivot from the Fed and we could expect a massive explosion, reaching our price target in this year of $40,000 to $50,000? And yes, we're going to look at Bitcoin and global central bank liquidity. We consider the blue line as the liquidity of all the central banks around the globe, and we can see that each time the liquidity goes down, that we could expect that the Bitcoin price is also going down, like we had it here, that the liquidity and the money printing is turned off. So we could see that all the risk on assets, also Bitcoin, is going down. But we can see that if the liquidity comes back into the markets, we could expect a massive push towards the upside. And guys, we're going to see this event where the Fed is going to pivot, and we're going to see that the money printers are going to be switched back on. And then we could expect this massive pump for Bitcoin and also for the liquidity that returns back into the markets. But guys, let's look at some very important factor. Let's look at the stages of Bitcoin. And yes, we have 3 stages: bottom formation, pre-halvening run, and up only. So at the moment, we can see that yes, we are in the bottoming phase, and we can see the price movement found its bottom, and then we saw this consolidation and then this break towards the upside, reaching our highs that we formed exactly here. And if we go over to the charts, then we can see that exactly that happened. We saw this dump towards the downside and the end of the bear market, and we came exactly back up to this resistance point. And if we go back to the charts, then we can see that each time when Bitcoin broke this level towards the upside, we saw a massive pump towards the upside, coming into the second stage, the pre-halvening run. And we could expect the pre-halvening run reaching all the way back up to levels of 53,000. And this is also where I said roundabout we're going to reach our high in the year 2023, that we're going to see this relief pump before we're going to see the halvening event. Because yes, the halvening is somewhere around May 2024. So we could expect that yes, Bitcoin is going to see this explosion all the way back up to these levels, and then we're going to see a consolidation, maybe even come back to these lows. But guys, each and every time before we're going to see the halvening, we are seeing this run and this bullish run towards the halvening and this parabolic run towards the upside. So guys, buying in these areas, Bitcoin accumulating in this range is going to be the best opportunity in your lifetime. And guys, if you want to buy crypto on the spot market, make sure to go down in the video description below and use my BITGET link where you receive a massive deposit bonus. But guys, let's go back to the charts. So yes, we are at the moment in the stage where we are entering the pre-halvening run. But guys, maybe we could see a small correction towards the downside, or maybe even a black swan event, so that we're going to see this dump all the way back down. Because yes, history doesn't always repeat, it rhymes. So maybe we're going to see a different scenario this time, but overall I think that we are so close to the bottom, and I think that we're going to see this bullish move towards the upside. And guys, let's go back over to the charts, and yes, we can see that Bitcoin is still perfectly within this range on the daily chart, but let's go on the lower time frames on the 4-hour chart, and we could expect, yes, maybe we're going to see this break towards the upside, and our first price targets would be all the way back up here at the $23,200, where we also had some major resistance. But guys, if we're going to see a real bullish move for Bitcoin on the daily chart, that yes, we're going to see a move all the way back up to the levels, reaching a new high of $25,900. So $26,000 is going to be our price target if we're going to see this bullish move towards the upside. And guys, really make sure to buy crypto and use my link so that you get this massive deposit bonus. And guys, if you want to find out more, make sure to subscribe and to smash up the like button. And guys, be for crypto, and we see each other in the next video.